Hey, welcome back to Pardonmyimagination. My name's Jasmine, and today I'm going to be doing a wrap-up for November. I participated in LaLathon that went on from the 1st of November to the 9th of November, and I believe she extended it to November 11th. And then I also words are hard. I also participated in Tome Topple, and that was from November 16th to November 29th. And I overall read 7 books. So let's just get into it. So the first books I'm going to be sharing with you guys are the books that I read for LaLathon since they started at the beginning of the month for November. And the first book I read was Stargirl by Jerry Spinelli. And basically for LaLathon we were supposed to read basically all of her favorite books, and we just picked from them. And these were the books that I had on my shelf, so I decided to read them. And Stargirl is just basically about a girl named Stargirl that goes to a school, and the main character, I forgot his name, Leo. The main character, Leo, the story is about a girl named Stargirl that is completely different from all the girls, or not all the girls, all the kids at her school, and she just does other things. It's like a coming of age book. I gave it 5 stars. It was really cute, simple. I have the second one, and I do plan on reading it. The next book that I read for LaLathon is The Wrath in the Dawn by Reńee Ahdied. One of these ways. And I gave this 4.5 stars. This is basically about a girl whose best friend got killed by the king because he has to sacrifice all these women every night or something like that. And she goes back to try to get revenge, and things don't really go her way. But this was a really good book. I do plan on reading the second one since I have it on my shelf. And overall, I don't know why I didn't give it 5 stars. I do feel like the romance part of it kind of went quickly, or it just happened and it kind of didn't make sense. But other than that, I'm not going to say any more because then I'm just going to spoil it. So, yeah, 4 out of 5 stars. The last book that I read for LaLathon was Sadie. And I gave this book 5 out of 5 stars. I actually listened to the audiobook, and they had a discount for this for $5. So I bought it. But, yes, I listened to the audiobook. I highly, highly recommend the audiobook. It's told in podcast format, and then it's told in Sadie's point of view. And basically this book is about Sadie's sister ends up dying, and she goes and tries to find the killer. And it's told in 2 different time frames. Sadie's time frame where she's looking for the killer, and then it's told when the man that runs the podcast is doing the podcast of Sadie and the story and trying to find her. And this is highly recommend. I don't even know what else to say. I would totally recommend this book, especially if you really enjoy podcasts. I would recommend 100% to listen to the audiobook. Now the next books I'm going to be showing you are all the books that I read for Tome Topple. And basically Tome Topple is where you read all the books you read books on your shelf that are 500 pages or more. And since I have about 500 books, I had plenty of books. The first book that I'm going to be showing you that I read could also be a part of LaLathon, but since I didn't read it during LaLathon, I'm not counting it. But I did read Illuminae by Amie, Kaufman, and Krisoff. And this book I gave it 4.5 stars. And I read along with the audiobook because the first couple of pages I couldn't get into it, and then I decided to rent it from my library and I listened to the audiobook, and it was really good. The story basically is about an AI that takes over a ship, and it starts killing off the people. And the main characters, there's a few main characters, but the one that I was really interested in was, oh my god, I can't remember her name. I read this 2 weeks ago, so. I just remember her tag name. It was Bite Me. But she basically is a hacker, and she's trying to go in and hacked the system to save her boyfriend. Major plot twist in here that I did not see coming at all. I really, really enjoyed this. I already have the second book, Reńee, from my library, so I do plan on listening to that as well as buying it when I read 10 books. So yes, highly recommend. I would read it. Now the next book that I read was actually the first book that I read for Tome Topple, and I've been dying to read this book for like ever since I've bought it, and I just haven't got around to it. But I finally got around to it for Tome Topple, and that was Children of Blood and Bone by Tomi Adeyemi. I always want to say Adeyemi, but yes, I read Children of Blood and Bone, 5 out of 5 stars. Absolutely loved it. I do want to go and do it in depth, because even though I gave it 5 out of 5 stars, the story and overall characters were amazing, but there were just things as a reader that I like wanted to scream and like pull my hair. I'm like, what the F? What the F? But I did give this 5 out of 5 stars. I'm sure everyone already knows about this book, but if you don't know about it, it's basically about a tribe. Well, it's about magic, and magic was taken away by the king, and the main character is trying to bring magic back, essentially. So she goes on this adventure with characters that you wouldn't think she would work with, and overall 5 out of 5 stars. Like, I would highly recommend this book. The third book that I read for Tome Topple was The Guilty One by Lisa Ballantyne. I don't know how to say her name. I didn't know how to say it in the last one, but this was the third book that I read. And I want to say, actually, let me look, because I have no idea what I gave this. I keep going back and forth. Yeah, I gave it 4 stars. This book is about an 8-year-old boy that got murdered, and the person that committed the crime or is being accused of the crime is an 11-year-old boy, and it's also about his lawyer, and the lawyer is basically telling a story, and it talks about how like he relates with the 11-year-old boy because he went through similar things that the boy did. So he's like trying to go through like life because his mom dies. So like he's dealing with that while dealing with the court case. It's a really interesting story. I really enjoyed it. There were some things in here that weren't really troubling, but it was kind of just like, I don't know, I didn't agree with some of the things that were in here, but it wasn't really the writing or the way the story was written. It was like the things that the character did, if that makes any sense. And although in the ending, I'm stuttering, Jesus. Although in the ending I predicted the plot twist, it was still a good story. I still enjoyed the plot twist. It kind of like, once you figured it out, you knew the moment that the story kept going on that that's what was going to happen. But either way, it was still a really good story. You didn't really see it coming until it got there. So either way, 4 out of 5 stars, highly recommend. And the last book that I read for Tome Topple and the last book that I read for November was Wonderstruck by Brian Selznick. And this book I gave 4 to 4.5 stars, and it's basically a story that's told in word and pictures. And this is the first book that I've ever read like this, minus like picture books when I was younger, but this is the first one that's actually, the story was told in complete pictures, and I understood it, and it correlated with the story that was being written. So this story is about 2 people. The first one that gets introduced is a boy, and I can't remember any of these characters' names. Ben. The story is about Ben and Rose, and Ben's story is told in word, and he's basically the story is told about Ben and Rose, and Ben is written in word, and his mom dies, and then he gets into an accident and loses his hearing. Both of the main characters are deaf. So he's struggling with that, and then he's trying to find his dad because he finds some like missing pieces in his old home that his mom left behind, and he tries to find his dad in New York City. Now Rose has already lives in New York City, and it bounces between her being a young girl, and she was obsessed with this actress, and she's just trying to piece her life together. And the ending I didn't see coming at all. It's not really a plot twist. It's kind of like not even a coming of age. It's just really a story essentially, and it was a really good story. I really enjoyed it. I didn't see the correlations between the two characters until it like told you, and I really thought it was good. I enjoyed it. I gave it 4 to 4.5 stars. Highly recommend if you enjoy stories with pictures. It went really quickly because of the pictures were in here, and it kind of was like a cheat for Tome Topple because there were so many photos and some of the paragraphs were really short. But I mean, this was almost 600 pages, or it is. Yeah, it was 630. Yeah, 630 pages. So still gonna count it, but recommend it if you enjoy those type of things. And those are all the books that I read this month. So for Tome Topple, since we were actually reading to clear off a lot of the pages, overall I read 237 pages for Tome Topple, and that is a ton. And that was in like 2 weeks, but I think I only read for about a week because I've been really busy with work. And then overall, this month I read 3,206 pages. So this is probably my most read month for the year. And that's all I have for you guys today. So if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, hit the bell, or if you didn't enjoy this video, come back and watch. Don't do it. I don't know why you're here.